Still on the matter, today is the second day of 2024 ASEAN-Australia Special Summit in Melbourne, Australia. And to know the latest updates from the event, we now have our contributor in Australia, Mochamad Andri. So Andri, what's the latest from the ASEAN-Australia Special Summit in Melbourne?
Well, thanks, Rory. All 9 leaders from Southeast Asia have arrived last night in Melbourne for a very significant diplomatic summit. This marks the largest diplomatic assembly in Australia since 2018. Melbourne is currently hosting leaders and officials from the association from Monday to Wednesday. And I can clearly see it is really getting really busy with hundreds of officials, diplomats, academics, and business people converging in the CBD for 3 days of summit. Lots of discussion, negotiation impacting a lot of places in Melbourne, like hotels and offices. And despite not being a part of ASEAN, Australia is organizing a gathering of leaders from 9 members of ASEAN. And unfortunately, Myanmar, one of the ASEAN members, had to be excluded this time from the summit due to the ongoing conflict. And then meanwhile, Timor-Leste, aspiring to become one of the ASEAN members, is participating in the gathering in Australia. The Australian government also aims to enhance economic and security relationship, allocating more than 180 million Australian dollars to support maritime security in Southeast Asia and in the Pacific region. And from today's announcements from the Australian Prime Minister, the Albanese government is putting $2 billion investment financing facility to boost investment in Southeast Asia, part of a suite of economic initiatives. Australia's two-way investment with ASEAN was worth more than $300 billion in 2020. This initiative aligned with recommendations from Australia's Southeast Asia Economic Strategy to 2040 and aiming to push economic engagement with the region in the ASEAN Pacific and in the Pacific region.
Now, Andri, what can you tell us about President Joko Widodo's agendas during the summit?
Well, the President Joko Widodo has arrived in Melbourne last night. The President was welcomed by hundreds of Indonesian diaspora who had been waiting for him from the afternoon. Indonesian diaspora in Melbourne was so excited to see the Indonesian President. A lot of people coming from different backgrounds came last night to meet the Mr. President, like international students from Indonesia, Indonesian language teachers, Indonesian culinary associations, and many more. And I spoke to the Indonesian Prime Minister, Mrs. Retno Marsudi, last night. She highlighted for today's schedule, the President Joko Widodo will attend 3 bilateral meetings, one of them with the Prime Minister of Cambodia, and then with the Prime Minister of New Zealand, and the last is with the Australian Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese. And then the President Joko Widodo attended the reception hosted by the Prime Minister, and the day just been closed by the leaders' dinners at the National Gallery in Melbourne.
All right, so Andri, what benefits will be gained from this summit, especially for ASEAN member countries?
Well, Indonesia continues to hold dominant positions within ASEAN, definitely, and will maintain a significant influence over the summits. So this special summit marks the 50th anniversary of ASEAN-Australia partnership, highlighting Australia's status as ASEAN first partner. Obviously, Australia's strategic comprehensive partnership with ASEAN is the first of its kind, reflecting its active engagement with the region. The launch of the Australia Southeast Asia Economic Strategy to 2040 report during this anniversary underscores Australia's commitment to push the ties with Southeast Asia countries. This is also driven by the region, significant population growth and economic relation with Australia. So Indonesia aims to align this approach to Southeast Asia countries with the ASEAN outlook in the Pacific region. So there are 4 main priorities. First one is the agriculture and food, and then the natural resources, green energy, and then the infrastructure. So these priorities are in conjunction with the ASEAN's 10 priorities, highlighting the importance of the harmonization to maximize the mutual benefits between the ASEAN members. And according to Mr. Retno Marsudi last night, this collaboration between Australia and ASEAN should be two ways, addressing trade barriers from both sides and facilitating investment in both directions.
All right, so thank you, Andri, for the report from Melbourne during the ASEAN Australia Summit.